Hello friends, welcome you all to another video and we are going to continue Malamers, the German refugee. So here we can see that now I am going to continue and I don't want to repeat the previous story. You just watch other videos. Now I'm reading and I will explain you and you will also get it and you also read it. So now, please, for any reason whatever. Later, when we were walking, he surprised me by saying maybe we ought to try now the lecture once more. He tucked back to the house and he sat at his hot desk. I tried read and he slowly began to reconstruct the first page of his lecture. He wrote, of course, in German. So again, after some disappointment, he talked that they are going to continue the lectures, and then they started that, and then again he also started reconstructed his first page of his lecture in a German language. He got nowhere. We were back to nothing, to sitting in silence in the heat. Sometimes, after a few minutes, I had to take off before his mood overcome mine. One afternoon, I came unwillingly up the stair. There were times I felt momentary surges of irritation with him and was frightened to find Oscar door ajar. When I knocked, no one answered. I stood there, chilled down the spine. I realized I was thinking about the possibility of his attempting suicide again. Oscar. I went into the apartment, looked into the both rooms and the bathroom, but he wasn't there. I thought he might have drifted out to get something from a store, and I took the opportunity to look quickly around. There was nothing startling in the medicine chest, no pills but aspirin, no iodine. Thinking for some reason of the gun, I searched his desk drawer. In it, I found a thin paper mail letter from Germany. Even if I had wanted to, I couldn't have read the handwriting. But as I had the thin paper in my hand, I did make out one sentence. 27 years is a long time, I thought. There was no gun in the drawer. I shut it and stopped looking. It had occurred to me that if you want to kill yourself, all you need is a straight pen. When Oscar returned, he said he had been sitting in the public library, unable to read. So actually, one day he came in Oscar's room early, and his room was locked, but he has another just but he somehow he entered in the rooms and he thought that maybe the Oscar is going to commit suicide, but actually he was not there. He searched in both the rooms and he was searching in the drawer, in medicine box, whether he has some pills or whatever he was doing there, but he has not found any gun, any pills, nothing. And then when Oscar come back, he told him that he was sitting in the public library and he was reading there. He was attempting reading there, but he was not able to read a single sentence and he is not understanding what he was reading. Now we are once more enacting the changeless scene. Curtain rising onto speechless character in a furnished apartment. I in a straight back chair, Oscar in the Weller's armchair that smoother rather than supported him. His flesh grey, the big grey face, unfocused, sagging. I reached over to switch on the radio, but he looked at me in a way that begged no. I then got up to leave, but Oscar, clearing his thought, thickly asked me to stay. I stayed, thinking, was there more to this plan I could see into? His problems, God knows, were real enough. But could there be something more than a refugee displacement, alienation, financial insecurity, being in a strange land without friends or to a speakable tongue? My speculation was the old one. Not all drown in this ocean. Why does he? After a while, I shaped the thought and asked him, was there something below the surface visible? I was full of these things from college and wonder if there mightn't be some unknown quantity in his depression that a psychiatrist maybe might help him with, enough to get him started on his lecture. So actually, when he returned there, then they were sitting there without speaking anything. So many time they were sitting like that, and then uh, because Oscar doesn't want to learn anything because he was very sad. And when the narrator wanted to go, sorry, when he wanted to turn on the radio, but Oscar begged him. He didn't speak, but he just looked at him in such a way that he was begging that. he should not turn on the radio. And then when he was about to leave, then Oscar asked him to stay there. And then they started their lecture. He meditated on this, and after a few minutes, healthily said he had been psychoanalyzing Vienna as a young man, just the usual dark. He said, fears and fantasies that afterwards no longer bother me. He said that there is no fear and no fantasies, and they are not going to bother him. They own now, not. You have written many articles and lectures before, I said. What I can't understand, though know how hard the situation is why you can never get past page 1. So he talked that actually Oscar has written so many articles and so many lectures before in Germany. And then he understood that the situation is very difficult, but why he is not able to complete one lecture? Why he is not going after one page? Why he was finishing only one page? He half lifted his hand. It is a paralysis of my will. He said that there is no will now. He has no will to complete the lecture. The whole lecture is clear in my mind, but the minute I write down a single word, or in English or in German, I have terrible fear I will not be able to write the next. So actually there is a complete idea in his hand, in his mind, that what he is going to deliver in his lecture, what he is going to speak in a lecture. But whenever he tried to write down, he got a fear that he is not able to write down the next lecture or next page, and therefore he leave that, and therefore the willing power is there, lack of the willing power, as though someone has thrown a stone at window and the whole house, the whole idea smashes. This repeat until I am desperate. So he was thinking that when he was trying to write down, he imagined that someone has thrown the stones on the window and the window has cracked, and therefore he cannot concentrate what he was. So that smashing the window, it is like a smashing of the ideas, and therefore he can't do that. He said the fear grew as he worked that he would die before the completed the lecture. He has a fear that he will die before the completion of the lecture, or if not, that he would write it too disgracefully. He would wish for death, the fear immobilizing. So he was thinking that he will write about the wish for death. So therefore he can't able to write or complete that lecture. I have lost faith. I don't know. Not longer possess my former values myself. In my life, there has been too much illusion. I tried to believe what he was saying. He said that he has lost his face. He said that he has no longer possessed any former value of himself. Now he has lost everything. He has lost his life also. And he was living his life in illusion. The narrator tried to believe what he was saying. Have a confidence. The feeling will pass. The narrator said him that he should have a confidence, and this feeling will also pass, and then he will get that confidence. I have not for this, and also whatever else I have lost, I thank the Nazis. He said that because of Nazis, thank the Nazis, that he has a confidence, but he lost that confidence because of the Nazis. It was by the mid-August, and things were growing steadily worse. Wherever one looked, the Poles were mobilizing for war. Now it was the beginning of the Second World War. It was the beginning of that how Hitler is going to attack on Poland. Oscar hardly moved. I was full of worries, though I pretended calm weather. He sat in his massive armchair with sick eyes, breathing like a wounded animal. Who can write about Walt Whiteman in such terrible times? So actually, he wanted to write down about the Walt Whiteman. Why don't you change the subject? It makes no difference what is subject, it is all useless. And then he said that if you don't want to write about the Walt Whiteman, you should change the subject. But he said that if you change the subject, all the subject will be useless. I came every day to see him, neglecting my other students and therefore my livelihood. I had panically feeling that if things went on as they were going, they would end in Oscar suicide, and I felt a frenzied desire to prevent that. So actually, the narrator is ignoring the other students, and ignoring other student, it means that cutting his face and cutting his livelihood also. So, but again, he was very worrying about the Oscar, because if Oscar couldn't able to speak in English and couldn't able to complete the lecture, then definitely he is going to do suicide. So therefore, he wanted to prevent that thing. And the hate continued oppressive, relentless. We thought of escape into the country, but neither of us had the money. and they thought that they should go to the country where there will be no heat because it was the summer is going on there. One day I bought Oscar a second-hand fan. So one day the narrator has got him a second-hand fan, wondering why he hadn't thought of that before. And he sat in the fridge for hours each day until after a week, shortly after the Soviet Nazi non-aggression pact was signed. Okay, so it was Russia and Germany's contract that they are not going to attack each other. That was the sign which was happened during that those days. And then because of the fan, Oscar was feeling very good or nice. He could not sleep at the night and sat his desk with a wet towel on his head, still attempting to write his lecture. He wrote reams on the treadmill. It came out nothing. When he did sleep, out of exhaustion, he had fantastic, frightening dreams of the Nazis inflicting torture on him, sometimes forcing him to look upon the corpses of those they had slain. In one dream, he told me about he had gone back to Germany to visit his wife. She wasn't home, and he had been directed to a cemetery. There, though the tombstone read another name, her blood slipped out of the earth above her shallow grave. He groaned at the memory of the dream. So he was that dreaming a lot of dreams, very very dangerous and very very that uh, destruction dreams he was dreaming. In one dream he was dreaming that how Nazis were torturing him, exploiting him. And in another dream which he told to narrator that how he went back to Germany to meet his wife, but his wife was not there. So he goes to the cemetery to look at there, but there was another name, and then her blood came from her grave, and then he was very crying there. So that was the dream. Afterwards he told me something about her. They had met as students, lived together, and were married at 23. So he told him about his marriage life. He said that when they were student, they meet together, they became friends, they live together, and they get married when they were just 23 years old. It wasn't a very happy marriage. She had turned into a sickly woman, physically unable to have children. So she was very sick, and therefore she cannot produce children. She cannot bear children. She had turned into sick woman, physically unable to have children. Something was wrong with her interior structure. So that there is some problem in her womb. Though I asked no questions, Oscar said, I offered her to come with me here, but she refused this. So actually, he has offered her to come with him, but she has refused. For what reason? He asked. She did not think I wished her to come. She think that he didn't want that she should come with him. Did you? I asked. Not, he said. He explained he had lived with her for almost 27 years under difficult circumstances. He said that their marriage was lasted 27 years under very difficult circumstances. She had been ambivalent about their Jewish friends and his relatives. She didn't like Jewish friends of him and his relatives. Though outwardly she seemed not a prejudiced person, but her mother was always a violent anti-Semitic. But actually, she was not showing that she was really hater of Jew, but her mother was really anti-Semitic, the great hater of Jew people. He took to his bed. I took the New York Public Library. I read some of the German poets he was trying to write about in English translation. Then I read Leaves of Grass and wrote down what I thought one or two of them and had got from White Man. One day toward the end of August, I brought Oscar what I had written. It was in a good part guessing, but my idea wasn't to write the lecture for him. He lay on his back, motionless, and listened utterly sadly to what I had written. Then he said, no, it wasn't the love of death they had got from White Man that ran through Germany poetry, but it was most of all his feeling for Brady Smith, his humanity. But this does not grow long on human earth, he said, and is soon destroyed. So actually, White Man was a German poet, and he talked about the love, not the love of death. And actually, the narrator goes to the library. He found some poets. He found some poetry. He read those things, and he wrote something for Oscar. Actually, he didn't want to make a lecture for him, but whatever he has wrote, he given to the Oscar, and he read for him. And then Oscar said that actually it was not that. Actually, his love for Germany, which was destroyed by the Nazis. I said I was sorry I had go it wrong, but he thanked me anyway. I left defeated, and I was going down the stairs, heard someone snobbing. I will quit this, I thought. It has gotten to be too much for me. I can't down with me. I stayed home the next day, tasting a new kind of private misery too old for somebody my age. But the same night, Oscar called me on the phone, blessing me wildly for having read those notes on to him. He had got up to write me a letter to say that I had missed, and it ended by his having written half the lecture. He had slept all the day and tonight tended to finish it up. So next day, actually, he was very sorry, feeling very sorry, and when he goes to his house, he never come back the next day. And Oscar called him and he told that actually he has completed the half of lecture, and he also thanked. He has written the thank letter for him that he has given the notes for him. I thank you, he said, for much, also including your faith in me. Thanks God, I said, not telling him I had just about lost it. So Oscar completed his lecture, wrote and rewrote it during the first week in September. So he has completed his lecture, he written it, rewritten it, and he has completed it in the first week of September. The Nazis had invaded Poland, and the Nazis have already in that month they have invaded Poland, and though we were greatly troubled, there was some sense of release. Maybe the brave Poles would beat them. So the war between Poland and Germany has started. It took another week to translate the lecture. But here we had the assistant of Frederick William Wolff, the historian, a gentle, irid man who liked translating and promised his help with future lectures. So actually, Oscar has written that lecture in German language. So Frederick Wolff, who was historian, erudite man, and he liked translating, and he helped them to translate it. And he also promised that he is going to translate other lectures also. We then had about weeks to work on Oscar delivery. The weather had changed, and so slowly he had awakened from defeat, battered after wearing battle. He had lost close to 20 pounds. His complexion was still grey. When I looked at his face, I expected to see scars, but it had lost its flabby, unfocused quality. His blue eyes had returned to life, and he walked with the quick steps, as though to pick up a few for all the steps he hadn't taken during those long, hot days he had lain trapped in his room. Okay, so the weather has also changed, and then Oscar also changed, so his behavior also changed. Okay, so everything was uh, going nicely. We went back to our former routine, meeting 3 late afternoons a week for diction, grammar, and the other exercises. I taught him the phonetic alphabet and transcribed long list of words he was mispronouncing. He worked many hours trying to fit each sound into place, holding half a matchsticks between his teeth to keep his jaws apart as he exercised his tongue. All this can be dreadfully boring business unless you think you have a future. Looking at him, I realized what is meant when somebody is called another man. Okay, so again they came to the formal routine after the completion of the lecture. They were meeting 3 late afternoons for a week for addiction, grammar, and other exercises, and he was doing all these things. Okay, and then he's think that he realized that what it means that somebody is called another man, because Oscar is another man. He is not an American person. He was a German person. He was calling as another man, and how it's very difficult to be another man. The lecture, which I now knew by heart, went off well. The director of the institute had invited a number of prominent people. Oscar was the first refugee they had employed, and there was a move to make the public cognizant of what was then new integrated in American life. 2 reporters had come with the lady photographer. The auditorium was crowded. I sat in the last row, promising to put up my hand if I couldn't be heard, but it wasn't necessary. So actually, the speaker talked about the lecture, how Oscar had delivered the lecture, and actually the director of the incident he has called the prominent personality to have that lecture, because Oscar was the first immigrant person they have employed, and therefore there was some reporters, one lady photographer was also there, and the auditorium was full of the people. It was crowded, and the speaker who sat at the last row of that bench, and he was thinking that maybe the Oscar is going to deliver a good lecture. Oscar in a blue suit, his haircut was of course nervous, but you couldn't see it unless you studied him. When he stepped up to the latern, spread out his manuscript, and spoke his first English sentence in public, my heart hesitated. Only he and I, of all the people there, had any idea of the anguish he had been through. His enunciation wasn't at all bad. A few sir for sir, and he once said bag for back, but otherwise he did all right. He read poetry well in both languages, and though Walt Whiteman, his mouth sounded a little as though he had come to the shores of Long Island as a German immigrant, still the poetry read as poetry. So actually, when he spoke the first word, actually there was very little mistake, pronunciation mistakes over there. Only he and the speaker knew that what is the wrong is there, and how the Oscar has actually he faced a lot of difficulties and a lot of problems. Only these two people know. So the poetry is like that, and I know that the Spirit of God is brother of my own, and that all the men who were born are also my brothers, and the women my sisters and lovers, and that the kelson of creation is love. So that was the poetry he read. Oscar read it as though he believed it. Warsaw had fallen, but the verses were somehow protective. Now the war actually started, the Second World War. I sat back conscious of two things: how easy it is to hide the deepest wounds and the pride I felt in the job I had done. 2 days later, I came up the stairs into Oscar's apartment to find a crowd there. So after that lecture, the speaker goes to meet him after 2 days, because they thought that there should be 2 days gaps. And when he goes there in his apartment, so he saw a lot of crowd is there, a lot of people were there. The refugee, his face beat red, lips blushed, the trace of front in the corner of his mouth, lay on the floor in the limp pajamas. Two fair men on their knees working over him with the inhalator. The windows were open and the air sank of gas. So actually, Oscar has committed suicide by pouring a lot of gas inside his room. Okay, the policeman asked me who I was, and I could only answer no. Oh no. I said no, but it was unchangeable. Yes, he had taken his life. Gas. I hadn't even thought of his stove in the kitchen. So there was a kitchen, and he has never thought about that stove. And because of that gas, he made his gas chamber and he killed himself. He committed suicide. Why, ask myself, why did you do so? He asked himself that why, Oscar, you have committed suicide. What was the reason? Because he has delivered a very nice lecture. So what was the reason that he has committed suicide? Maybe it was the fate of Poland on the top of everything else. It was because of the Poland has defeated by the Nazis or the Germans. With was Oscar cribbed note that I was not well, and that he left Martin Goldberg all his possession. I am Martin Goldberg. So the narrator, the speaker of this story is Martin Goldberg, and Oscar has left one written note, and in that he has given all his possession to Martin Goldberg. I was sick for a week, had no desire either to inherent or investigate, but I thought I ought to look through his things before the court imported them. So I spent a morning sitting in the depth of Oscar Vallier armchair, trying to read his correspondence. Okay. So actually, he doesn't want to inherit or investigate, but actually he thought that the court is going to impounded them. So he spent one morning sitting in depth of Oscar Value armchair, trying to read his correspondence. So he was reading the letters of him. I had found in the top drawer of his desk a thin pocket of letters from his wife, and an armorial letter of a recent date from his anti-Semitic mother-in-law. So he found two letters, some letters from his wife and one letter from his mother-in-law. She writes in a tight script. It taken me hour to decipher it. Shusha has written in German language, and it takes a lot of time for um, our narrator, that is the Martin Goldberg, to read out that. So, daughter, after Oscar abandoned her against her own mother, fervent plays and anguish, it converted to Judaism by Wendy Robbie. So, when Oscar abandoned her, okay, so she cannot bear that thing, and therefore she embraces Judaism. And one night the bronze shirt appeared, and thought the mother wildly waves her bronze crucified in their faces. They dragged Fru Krauser, Fru Gassner, together with the other Jews, out of the apartment. So actually, she has converted Judaism, and that the Nazis came there, the soldier came there, and they took uh, the wife name, the Oscar's wife name was Farouk Gassner, and they drag her, even though the mother-in-law of Oscar was showing the cross to the soldier, but they have not heard about that, and they just drag her together with other Jews out of the apartment house and transport them in trolleys to a small border town in conquered Poland. And they have transferred to the one small town as Poland. There it is rumored she is shot in the head and topples into an open tank ditch with the naked Jewish men, their wives and children, some Polish soldiers, and a handful of gypsies. And she was killed by Nazi soldier, and she was put at the one tank ditch where a lot of naked Jewish men, women, children, Polish soldiers were there, and a handful of gypsies were there. And that was the ending because he has committed suicide. He has committed suicide because his wife was died. So here we have completed our lecture. So thank you for watching. See you in the next lecture.